the parents, as the professors at that time, was rich people. They couldn't have lived somewhere in Mushin that she would be looking over the window, hearing people being beaten up, thinking that you may be the next. So if you look at Kemi may have lived somewhere as at that time in Ikeja that was well secured, or somewhere in Ikoyi that was mostly secured. And the likes of narrative that she's giving may not be the true situation of things. Perhaps if she's reporting this experience like is a third-party experience, I could understand rather than she personalizing the experience. I think that is my only concern about what Kemi is saying.
Okay.
In the grand scheme of things, Nigeria is not safe. All right? In the grand scheme of things, people in Nigeria are becoming poorer every day. After said and done, we know that the police in this country has been totally unfair to the people. And that's why we had NSAS. NSAS was a police protest. That happened in 2020. It was a police protest. There is nothing that we are going to do. There's no PR you are going to do that they are going to sweep the menace of NSAS under the carpet. So you don't need anyone to do PR for you or to be your PR to clean up you saw what happened recently. A lady who had criticized the president, has criticized the Inspector General of Police. He was arrested here in Lagos, flown to Abuja, made to be remaining communicado. He cannot speak to a lawyer. So those are the things that we talked about. Those are the things that are being reported.
Okay.
You don't need Kemi to say those things, right? Now, another area that Kemi also had, which I feel that she didn't get it right, is saying that she can only be identified with the Yorubas. He has nothing in common with the Northern Nigeria. I don't think Kemi has anything in common with an Indian, a British Indian. I don't think Kemi has any relationship.
Okay, I don't know if that's the network situation. You're still online, but I can't hear you. Can you hear me, Mr. Gode Fosse? Hello. All right, I'll try to reconnect with you. So, a Nigerian who is a politician now in the UK is constantly slamming Nigeria, talking about bad governance. She talked about the police. She's been calling the system out to British press. And now the Nigerians in the UK diaspora community are not happy with her. They are saying that she is just leveraging on the situation for her political agenda. All right, are you back with me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So before I ask you other questions, as regards Aisha Yusufu's comments, but then we have the likes of Okonjo-Iweala as well, that, you know, they are overachievers outside our country, but then we don't get to hear. Are you concerned about washing our dirty linens outside?
Well, that's why I said my first statement this morning was that Kemi has the right to our opinion. We have people living in this country who are still dragging her name in the mud. I mean, for instance, you don't expect Yaya Bello to speak to know that it's a bad PR for Nigeria. Yaya Bello, who has been governor for 8 years, and he has been indicted with the corruption charges, and he kept running away. He doesn't need to tell you that Nigeria is good. Is the leaders that we have today who are not living up to it, who are corrupt, and we know they are corrupt. They don't need to say anything. All right? Now, you don't need Okonjo-Iweala to do a PR for you. And Okonjo-Iweala has not in anywhere in the world said that Nigeria is the best place in the world. Because you know it's not true. But you know Kemi's position is more political than Okonjo-Iweala, which is about governance. So Kemi is expected to make comments that will trigger our audience, all right? That will make our audience understand that, okay, she really cared, this is what she is. You also know how the West, the developed country, have seen us. The former president, now the president-elect in the U.S., have called Africa a shithole. All right? Those are their opinions. It doesn't matter what happened. Like I told you this morning, those things that Kemi narrated particularly never happened during our own time. People were not beaten up in their homes. The insecurity was not this perverted or it was not this generalized in our society the way it is recently. And I don't think Kemi left Nigeria. Kemi was born in the 80s. When did he leave? Kemi could have left in the 90s, back to the UK, right? So if he had left in the 90s, was insecurity this bad? Did we have kidnapping? I still remember in those days people would do a night travel from Onitsha to Lagos, from Lagos to Kano, without anything untoward was happening to them, without any kidnapping, without any armed robbery. People were people's real neighbors, as it were. But today, like I said, if Kemi had shared these experiences as someone experiences, not us, I wouldn't have any problem with that. However, do we need to make Kemi Nigerian PR? We cannot. Because the leaders who are supposed to be the biggest PR, the people, the governors, our ministers, the special advisors who are supposed to be the biggest PR for Nigeria are not living up to it.
Okay.
Therefore, somebody could say, why is Sunak, when he was the prime minister, why was he not criticizing? Why was he not saying bad things about his native country, India? I mean, if the things that Kemi talked about does not exist in India, you don't expect Sunak to talk about it.
Okay.
You don't expect Sunak to talk. But I'm not saying that you can go outside and begin to wash your dirty linen outside. And I really think, with what Kemi is saying, instead of the leaders like vice president of this country and the people in diaspora coming out on Kemi, and I think they really need to look back and begin to put government under pressure to begin to live up to it.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, all of these things still happen.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so let's begin to talk about some of the reactions. Aisha Yusufu argued that such comparisons would not come up if the UK did not provide an enabling environment for looted Nigerian wealth. And of course, she mentioned colonialism. And Vice President Shatima says she should drop the name Kemi since she's not proud of where she's coming from. Bashir Ahmed, former spokesperson for the former president, said that she's definitely going to need Nigeria one day. But now, taking Yasufu's comments on this, do you blame the UK for, she's saying that the UK provides an enabling environment for Nigerian looters. What do you have to say?
Aisha is just finding an escape route, all right? Well, we can blame the West, that when I say the West, the developed countries, not just the UK. We can blame them all we want. And I think, yes, they are the one, giving the Nigerians and African politicians enabling environment to remain corrupt, as it were. Because if Nigerians leaders were not taking our money to their own place and stash it and they allow them, they won't be richer than us, because the amount of Nigerian money in foreign land is more than the amount of Nigerian money in Nigeria today. All right, the stolen wealth, as it were. I feel whether somebody is benefiting from the statement that Kemi made wasn't from the British government. It was a Kemi's statement.
But I think Yusufu said that because, clearly Kemi is identifying as pure British. She's not even recognizing the fact that she's a Negroid and from the shores of Africa.
She said she identified with the Yoruba more than the people from the northern Nigeria. And he has said that. He understands that his both parents are Nigerians. He's only a British by marriage and whatever he has adopted to be. Again, like I said, whether the British were benefiting from Nigerian corrupt practices or not, he wouldn't have stopped Kemi from saying what he's saying. I think Kemi wasn't talking about corruption. He was talking about purely the misgovernance in Nigeria. How the government has not been able, over time has not been able to address the insecurity. How government has not been able to put police in their state and let them do what they are doing.
Okay, Mr. Gode,
today,
can you hear me?
This morning.
Can you hear me at all?
I read, Kimberly, please. This morning, I read from, I read a piece from a very, very senior advocate of Nigeria, Okutupa, talking about the judges becoming an enabler for misjudgment.
Yeah, so I said you should hold on because
but it is here in Nigeria. The man lives here.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We'll get to that shortly. Okay. Let's exhaust the conversation around Kemi, because definitely we're still going to talk about what played out in Rivers State. But now, some are saying that the historical colonial era policies and practices, such as exploitation of Nigeria's natural resources, have contributed greatly to the ongoing economic and social inequalities between the two countries. So now we're taking away some, reactions to this, why Nigeria is the way it is. People are just bringing out talks to Kemi that, the UK that she's holding so highly is responsible for whatever economic woes we are faced with in the country. So now I just want you to react to that. What role do you think? Do you agree that the West colonial masters, they have a role to play in the economic situation in Africa and Nigeria specifically with Britain?
Well, the Africans were not the only continent that suffered colonialism in the first place. You must have also read that U.S. at some point was colonized by Britain. The likes of Hong Kong, the likes of China were also colonized. India was also colonized. So we see this idea of falling flat on our face all the time and blaming it on colonialism doesn't suffice for me. People suffer and work hard and rise above their predicament in the past. So Africa is not the only land that was colonized. And again, I wouldn't blame our backwardness, our underdevelopment solely on the path of colonialism that we were colonized. We were some country like Malaysia were also colonized. Today, where are they? So let us begin to purge ourselves from this excuse mentality. People shouting and talking about, the British, the West came deprived of all the things. I mean, it couldn't have all been bad. They also brought some sense of civilization. Today, we have seen that in America, a black man from Kenya was a president, and it doesn't. A black man from Kenya in America was a president. Where is Kenya in terms of leadership? All right. So I don't want to always go back to that, but let us look forward and say, what as our people, since this was given to us, what good are we made from it as a people? Since 1960, we have had successive leadership. What have they done? As I'm speaking to you this morning, there is no power. There is no public power. I have not experienced in Lagos a pipe-borne water. If that is not boiled down to we were colonized. All right? The road to my house is not tarred. I keep changing my shocks.
Okay.
So I have to power my little gen who packed up last night, and I slept under it till this morning. That cannot be blamed on a European who came here, on British who came here to colonize us. That is solely our problem. Why so there are several people, there are several children out of school in Nigeria cannot be blamed on colonialism. That is my point. Yes, they came, they did what they did, but I have seen a lot of people who came from a very humble home, very poor background, who fight and work themselves genuinely up to the ladder because they mean it and they better their lives of themselves and their family. So what happened to our leadership? Why do we always go back and blame the colonial masters for our woes?
Okay.
So I cannot hold any British government, past or present, to my inability to have public power this morning. When I have bought power, and I have it in my meter and I cannot enjoy it. Why should I do that? Why should I blame my problem? Why should I blame my problem on British when the companies in this country are suffering multiple taxation?
Yeah.
That the company who has produced something in Lagos want to take it to Onitsha will have to pay tax upon tax on the way until it gets to Onitsha. Why should I blame that? Why should I blame that on the colonial masters when the same thing is not happening in the UK?
Okay. So yeah, you want to say
so
something?
at the end of the day, we are only looking back. We don't look forward. That is a problem. I'm not saying looking back is bad. You could use what happens to you in the past to correct what is going to happen to you in the future and the present. However, most of the things blame on the British, like Aisha Yusufu said, don't use your Nigerian poor mentality. Of course. Kemi grew up early age in this country and move on. You cannot be described, Kemi, as having poor person mentality.
Okay, so
I mean, you cannot.
Yeah, so lifting some comments off Twitter. This one says Nigerians find themselves caught between a rock and a hard place, and Kemi's perspective reflects the harsh realities and struggles shared by many ordinary citizens. There should be a balance. Okay, and this one says, did she lie? No. We can make Nigeria work when people speak the truth and not side with dishonesty. Someone else said, very shameful. I will never agree with any politics that demeans race, culture, religion. Campaign messages should focus on gains. Okay. This one says, her motives, regardless, her allegations factual. They are consistent with several allegations against the police and the Nigerian states. So let her go about her motive while Nigeria look inwards and sort out her issues. Can we address the issues at the MPF to start with? Okay. And this one says, tell your politicians to sit up. Since they gave us independence, we have remained stagnant. If I was in her shoes, I'll say more. Okay, so now let's wrap this conversation about Kemi up with your expectations of the diaspora community. Do you have any expectations? Nigerians that have been away, how can they also, actively be a part of making national development?
They have a huge role to play. They have seen development. They have learned. They have seen that other countries do certain things and make their country work. They can come back and contribute their quota. Then it now boils down to the fact that whether the current leaders will allow them to come in, right? Because it's one thing for you to offer your services and another for you to be accepted. Okay, so, politics in Africa, in Nigeria, has always been based on like a business. It's not service. That when you get a political appointment, ask you to come and help, people roll out the drums and celebrate you and think your poverty has ended. So in other climes, it's not like that. If it was like that in other climes, people like Kemi Rishi will not climb to the level that they have been. So I feel they have, instead of them to come out hard on Kemi for what Kemi has said. Yes, most of the things that she has said may not have been correct. They should actually put that pressure on the government in the country and see how they can correct it. In the last 1 year and 1 year and 6 or 8 months, we have seen how Nigeria has gone back in a way that is not pleasant for eye to see. Yes, they keep saying there is hope, there is hope, there is hope. If some of these things are being done in a way that give human some dignity, then you could say there is hope. Why would Kemi, where she's having a tea this morning, he has public power 24 hours, he has public water running through her tap, she has a good road, drive to her own house without any pothole. There are some other amenities available to her. When she sees that people in Nigeria are suffering,
Okay.
If you pick our paper this morning, an average Nigerian newspaper this morning, the news from Nigeria, you will have at least 60% negative news around Nigeria. And you don't give such a thing, don't give another person who's not living in this country a positive commentary about your country. So all those things, are they happening? They are happening. If you don't see one bishop, one cleric, one imam being kidnapped somewhere, you are seeing one child being molested, you are seeing insecurity, you are seeing one government person
So do you blame,
the money.
okay, now, Mr. Gordon, now, do you blame the media for over-reporting negative news, or you blame that on, is there a way the media can also, lift the spirit by reporting some positive news?
I am not blaming media. Of course, it's my constituency. I'm not blaming media for saying it. I am saying that those things are happening. Those are the realities.
But I'm asking you that, do you think the media has a role to when it comes to shaping the perception?
First and foremost, the media is not PR to any country. It's not PR to any company. It's not PR to any government. The media, the duty of the media is simple. Bring out, report the truth, say the truth to help your country look better. All right? Yeah. Even in US today, you will see when Trump is doing something that is good, you will see when Biden is doing something that is not good, and the media will come out good on that. They will always speak the truth. The media is for the truth.
Yeah, but beyond politics, are there other things that the media could report as well? Like tourism, beautiful places you can visit in Nigeria, the culture. Are there other things? Do you think the focus is too heavy on...
Those are the things that we used to do. What would happen if somebody is visiting a beautiful place and he gets kidnapped? Would the media not report it?
Why would the person get kidnapped?
Would the media not report it? This morning I read in the news that, Kaduna has opened a market that was shut down because of insecurity. That's a positive news, right? I read it. I've not left my home. So I've read that report this morning, going through the papers this morning. I have read that report. Does it mean that in part of Kaduna, there are no insecurity? Are we not still kidnapping people in Zamfara? So if government begin to do these things and stem these things from happening, the media will also report it. And you will see the fortune of Nigeria will begin to change. My own concern this morning is that instead of the vice president to begin to call on Kemi to take down his native name because he's criticizing his country, recently we have also seen the video said that if we ask somebody to come and invest in Nigeria, will he invest? And we have seen that. We have also read in the paper that Netflix has just left. Right? We have also read that,
but
that Netflix has just left.
The company debunked that. They said they're still very much in Nigeria. But now that's another thing, the issue with fake news and, speculations. But now let's move on to what's happening in Rivers State for the sake of time.
All right.
So the Court of Appeal Abuja Division has reversed the judgments that restrained the CBN and Accountant General of the Federation from releasing funds to the Rivers State government. On October 30, Justice Joyce Abdulmalik of the Federal High Court had stopped the CBN from further releasing monthly financial allocations to the state, citing some, given reasons for that. Now, the role of the judiciary in free and fair elections. I want to ask you questions on that, tying it in with this development. So what are your initial thoughts on the appeal court's decision to reserve judgment on the state allocation?
When the High Court judgment came, I knew it was a farce, that it was not going to stand, because that such judgment is like asking some part of the country you cannot practice democracy. It happens in Lagos during Obasanjo, when Obasanjo withheld the Lagos State allocation during the current president, when the current president was the governor of Lagos State, because he decided for governance to be easy, because the challenge that we have in Nigeria is that we love to lift the heavy metals. For governance to be easy, you need to begin to make your states, your places, look accessible. That 20 local government for a place like Lagos, densely populated, highly cosmopolitan, for 20 local government to govern it, to make people feel the impact of governance was going to be difficult. And said, okay, let me begin to have CDAs from this. And he balkanized that to about 57 CDAs plus local government, as it were. And somebody in Abuja said, you don't have the right to do that. Why do you think he doesn't have the right to do that? You said because he has done that without the normal constitutional. The man said, my local government is C20. I am only doing this to make governance, to let people get easy access to government, and also understand what is happening in governance. That's why I'm bringing governance to the people by breaking this down from a very bulky self to a very tiny unit so that people can access it. You said no. The only way you can punish it, you withhold the allocation. The man went to court and got judgment. He got judgment. And you see sat on it as at that time. So I knew for any court to say don't pay a sub-national of this country their allocation, which is constitutionally theirs, was just joking. Even if the case gets to the Supreme Court, the case of Lagos is very clear with that.
Okay,
and
so, yeah.
What was the reason for that? Because it conducted election.
Okay, but if we're going to focus on Rivers State now, Fubara and Wike, the ongoing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to Rivers State. That was the reason why the High Court gave that judgment, because the Rivers people, the governors conducted a Rivers election based on the fact that there was a court injunction that election shouldn't be held. You cannot in any way, a court cannot in any way stop an election from happening. And you cannot in any way criminally extend other people's tenure in office when they are not in wartime, when they are not in a situation that can stop any elections. So at the end of the day, the appeal court judgment has brings some kind of relief to the Rivers people, and also shows that we are growing in democracy, and one person or a group of people cannot gather and undermine the tenet of democracy. Because if that is undermined, our very existence is in danger.
Okay. So now you were going to say something about the judiciary. Now, what role do the judiciary have to play in free and fair elections?
Well, you can see what the role of judiciary. The High Court gave a different judgment, and the Court of Appeal found out that judgment was in error, and gave a different judgment that aligned with the people, that aligned with the aspiration of the people, that aligned with the people of Rivers State. That is the role of democracy. That is the role of judiciary. We are not saying that because it's about when to take a case to the court. It's about your argument. It is not mostly about the merit of the case. What evidence do you have? What fact did you present before the judge? So in the end, we can see the function of judiciary in all of this. But what Nigerians are praying for is that the judiciary should be consistent. And only not just consistent. The erring members of the judiciary, from the bench, should be sanctioned for behaving in a way that is far from how a judicial officer should behave in a society.
Okay. So now, how do you think it can? Because you were earlier on, you talked about how the judiciary and court rulings. We hear the judiciary involved in a lot of issues when it comes to politics and elections. So, what are some reservations you have and some changes you'd like to see as regards the actions of the judiciary?
Yes, I would like the Chief Justice of the Federation of Nigeria to begin to see that politicians do not appoint people that become judges and magistrates. The way our judges, the recruitment structure of the judges in Nigeria is very wrong. A politician cannot send his brother, his sisters as a nominee to be recruited as a judge. All right?
What if the
what you look
qualified?
at? What?
What if the sister is qualified? Is it about sending your sister to be nominated?
No, you cannot nominate. The judiciary, the National Judiciary Commission must, in a way, have their own recruiting rights. Ask people to come out and apply. There should be no nomination from the states. That's what I'm saying. When you want to employ, when you wanted to seek an employment in Super FM, Kimberly, your brother didn't send your name.
No.
I'm coming. Your brother didn't send your name. You apply. You apply. You feel you are qualified for it. You send in your CV. You went for the interview and you got the job. Now, and I think that is the same way we should. The same way we are calling on the Nigerian for us to appoint the chairman of INEC, that the president shouldn't appoint alone, that it should be subject to National Assembly and the rest of it. That is the same way we want it. You cannot.
Okay, I don't know why you're sounding distant. You're sounding faint all of a sudden.
Hello?
Yeah.
That's network. That's network. I'm still very close to my phone.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. What I'm saying is that the recruitment, the entry level and the recruitment structure in the judiciary should change for us to begin to see some fairness. All right? Some fairness. It was in this country that, in fact, that a former senator actually said that he wanted to thank his wife for helping his friends. So his wife was the appeal court chief as at that time, and you can see the statement. That statement came from deep sense of reasoning, because those things happen, and up to today nothing happened. So for this to happen, judiciary must stop executive arms of government for building houses for the judiciary, giving them cars. Judiciary must have their own budget. That they can spend the way National Assembly has their own. Nobody. When I was growing up, you hardly before you see a magistrate or a judge at a function, and a social function. Hardly, you cannot even find them. But today, you see judges going for 60th birthday of a politician, 60th birthday of a governor, 50th birthday of a senior politician. So we have to bring those things back, because there is no way these people have this kind of social connection that a case will come before them that they will be unbiased.
Okay.
They cannot be, because they have social connection with these people. A judge, a governor or a minister cannot build a house and give it to a judge.
Yeah, well, I think that was already debunked. Wike talked about that. I think he mentioned something about, I don't think that's tied to their job requirements or something. I think that's just, I think he talked about renewed hope agenda of the president and how it was taken out of context. It's not like he bought the houses.
It wasn't taken out of context. What we did, it was a show. You are doing this for you. We are not doing it because they are judges. They have their own commission. They can do it by themselves. I have not seen where federal government is building houses and give it to national senators and House of Rep members. I have not seen where they say their federal government or minister is buying cars for the senators, and they buy their own cars. They build their own houses. They do their own things.
Okay.
So allow the Judicial Commission to do that for themselves, not for because all of those things are the one that you are using. The executive arm of government is using to curry favor from the judiciary. See what we have done for you. Nobody has done it before. So that tomorrow, when we come, you will not deny us judgment. No, these are the things that we don't want. Because you ask me, what am I looking forward to? What am I expecting to see? These are the things I expect to see if a common man must have absolute confidence in our judicial system.
Okay, so now let's talk about what's more important now, which is the people of Rivers State. How do you think the political tussle, affects the people of Rivers State? Do you see this as, because since Fubara assumed office, it's been one situation or the other. And so now, what do you make of this? Where does this leave the people? Where do you think the people should even come in? What should they be doing as regards the situation now?
Of course, the people cannot come in until 2027. Again, they have made their choice. Now, it is the battle between the godson and the godfather, and the judiciary will ultimately settle it the way it is. Because at this time, the Rivers people will have the opportunity once again to make their claim in 2027. Who should rule them? Who should be their governor? Who should be their senator? Who should be their House of Rep member and the local government chairman and the councillors and House of Assembly members? I think we again going back to the basics. We must, as a matter of fact, begin to reject our political system again. We can't just have people, the moment you were elected from a particular party, you get to a place and you jump ship. And I think these are the problems that we have with our democracy. And that's why it looks like our democracy is not growing. It's not as if others are not. How many people, since the lost their stronghold in the British government, how many of them have left?
I don't know what's, I think it's breaking. Can you hear me? It's breaking on your end.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'll just reconnect with you now to wrap this up because the network now suddenly isn't very friendly at the moment. Okay, so if you're listening, you can contribute 0805 092 0927. That's 0805 092 0927 or 0705 890 4927. I'll try to connect with Mr. Godeye Fosa now. He's a broadcast journalist and public affairs analyst. He joined us on Spotlight this morning. If we can't reconnect with him, then we'll just have to call it a day on the program until tomorrow. And because now he's saying that it's a breath of fresh air for the Rivers people. I don't know if you agree with that. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. So let's wrap this up now. How do you think the situation in Rivers State now affects? What do you see? How do you connect it with the general elections? What impact will it have with the 2027 general elections? Do you see any connection?
See, Rivers is not a state in Nigeria. Yes, it's a very important state, and we acknowledge the role that they play because they also are the goods that lay the golden egg too, where we get the oil, the crude to export and make some money for this country. I feel that at this point, the Rivers case looks like he has defied political solution, as it were, because the two strong men are holding on very extreme position. No one wants to yield ground for the other, or nobody wants to come to the middle and settle this. So I feel the case is in the Supreme Court now, or the judiciary would now decide what happens to Rivers State and the Rivers people until 2027, when the Rivers people will need to go to the poll and know the people that they want to put in power. And this Rivers case is a watershed in the Nigerian political history. It should be, because we have seen that maybe it could also become one of the case studies that would help us begin to move away from the era of godfatherism. I'm not saying that people don't guide people. People don't provide mentorship. Mentorship should be seen as godfatherism. Somebody, in my case, when you gave birth, you said, "Oh, come and be the godfather of this child when he's growing up." It's just to provide directions, just to give you guidelines how you move. And that's how in politics it should be. It shouldn't be you being a godfather wanting to now run the entire system. Your godson or your goddaughter supposed to, when he runs into trouble, he runs back to you and says, "You have experience on this thing. How do I go about it?" And you provide direction.
Yeah.
That's what That's what godfatherism should be.
Should be, right?
Godfatherism shouldn't become a driver in a car, and the person that's supposed to drive the car is now at the back seat, putting on the seat belt. That is not the way it works. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. I hope, and I sincerely hope, in the nearest future, the reverse case study would define how politics is played generally in this country.
All
going
right,
forward.
great. So, what are your final thoughts on both conversation, like both topics we talked about today, Kemi Badenoch and the river situation?
Well, for Kemi, please, uh, in my place, there is a fish in my place called Azogbabai. That fish is very tiny. May you not see that fish when you are, because I'm from riverine area. May you not see that fish when you are going for fishing, because you will come back empty-handed. That fish will not let any fish take your hook, and he will not take it. So may Kemi Badenoch not be Azogbabai. He shouldn't, if he doesn't want to support Nigeria, he shouldn't condemn Nigeria. That's the final word on that. Two, I think the leaders in Nigeria, instead of looking, when they begin to, there is also a proverb in my place that says that when you throw stone at every door that back at you, you will not get to your destination. So every leaders should begin to concentrate themselves. When they are walking, they should keep quiet and walk. They shouldn't be throwing stone at every dog that back at them on their way to achieving success. There are some dogs that will back, you move on, let your work show your workings, let people begin to see that you are working.
Okay.
The vice president doesn't need the attention he's getting to himself. He should busy himself working and ensuring that Nigeria receive the dividends of democracy. Thirdly,
All
which
right.
is final point.
Yeah.
I think judiciary should rise above all form of sentiment and serve Nigerian people, and let the common man have hope that when I take my case to court and I know I'm right, I will get judgment. Not because I am this person, but because I'm in Nigeria.
Right.
Thank you.
But wait, that fish you talked about, how do you know the fish if it can't be caught?
Because that fish does not take a hook. He would not allow any fish. It's a very tiny fish and very powerful. There is no fish that will take your hook or will let any fish get into your net. It will drive everybody away, and you will sit down there and you bring your hook out without catching any fish. So Kemi shouldn't be a Zogbabai. Kemi should be someone who is an ambassador of this country. First and foremost, her name tells everyone where she comes from, even if she wants to lie.
Thank you
even
so
if
much.
she doesn't want to say it.
All right, thank you. Enjoy your day, God Air Force, broadcast journalist and public affairs analyst. It's been me on Spotlight. I am Kimberly. We'll do this again tomorrow. Hopefully, we can just go about our business and try to do what we have to do. Not try to take the scale off someone else's eyes when we have fat scales in our own eyes. That's to say, mind your business, do your best, keep the spirit up, and keep your fingers crossed, all right? Spread love and joy. That's it. Enjoy the rest of the day's broadcast. And big thanks to our guests and you listening on the other end of the radio.